Hey guys, Martial Arts Militia here. My name is Matthew, and today's video is going to be a range report on the Beretta PX4 Storm Compact. So much like all the other guns that I have in my collection, I bought this ages ago and I just never got around to shooting it until now. It is an ambidextrous gun. It's got slide release levers on both sides, so you can, actuate it either way, left-handed, right-handed. I believe the mag release was made for right-handed people, but obviously I changed that, so I'm using it as a left-hander. Just all around, in my opinion, kind of a fully ambi gun. I like that because, for me, I can train my weak side, which would be my right hand. But if you're a normal person and you're born right-handed, you can train on your weak side too. My master was always clear about how important that was. And he understood that you'd never be as good as your strong side. You just don't want to be completely worthless if you had to rely on your weak side. Now for this range report, I brought about 250 rounds of MagTech 9mm, 115 grain, nothing special, typical type of thing. Much like the ranges I've been using to try to get to be a gun toter at my job, I did start at the typical 3 rounds, just to make 3 yards, just to make sure I'm doing all right. Then go into 5, 7, 10. After that, they don't really mark it how far it is back there, 10 yards, 15 yards, 20 yards. So I just kind of push it out to, I imagine, 10 or 12 yards. But again, I have to shoot a lot close up, so that way the hole gets big enough that, I can see it as it goes further and further out there in yardages. Now, with this gun, I also brought the SIG P250. I like to call it the long slide. You guys have seen them before. My baby. Got the Wilson combat grip frame, all of that. You guys know that it's excellent. Not all P250s are like that, but mine is. And of course I do that, as my master said, you bring 2 guns because your first one might not work or it might malfunction. We learned that with the AP5M, but of course I never got caught because I've always done that. I always brought 2 guns. So, as usual, I brought a whole bulk of targets. I have them here. I just used another one from the bulks, and here is the result of that. You can see that I think it did pretty well, but then I've got a couple of flyers down here. One really bad one bad one, about 5 bad ones, and then the rest are going to be right there. So somewhat decent, I would say acceptable. As far as the PX4 Storm's performance, I really wanted to like the gun. It's got a rotating barrel here that the full size and the compact has that rotating barrel, but it loses that ability when they went to a subcompact. So it doesn't have that anymore. That's why I went with the compact as a subcompact. And it's actually not decocker only, it's actually just a manual safety, but there is a part here that you can take out so that it ends up being a decocker like that. That's not normal. You have to take a part out of its safety to do that. That was done a long time ago. Anyways, as I was saying with the result of the range report, there were many failures to eject, many failures to feed. Didn't matter if it was with or without my gloves, pig gloves, DA or SA, a light grip, a death grip. It didn't matter. It just always had this malfunction, I think only the first set of 15 shots, 1 magazine, in double action was flawless. After that, it would have issues of failure. For example, the second set in double action, the shots 3, 4, 11, 12, and 13 were all failures to feed. Shots 14 was a failure to eject. Shot 15 failed to lock back. That's a 46% failure rate, And then with the SA, I did shots 6, 10, 11, 12, and 13, all failures to feed. Shot 15 with a stovepipe, that's a 40% failure rate, right? Then I go back to, because I switch between DA and SA, double action, single action. The third set for double action, shots 1, 11, 13, and 15 failed to eject. Shots 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 14 failed to feed. Shots 3 and 12 failed to chamber. So basically what was happening was that the PX4 Storm was beginning to fail chambering a new round after clearing malfunctions. And with that third set, that was a 100% failure rate. Every bullet failed in the third set of double action pulls. And then the second set of single action pulls, shots 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, and 10 failed to chamber. Shots 3, 7, 9, 13, 14, and 15 failed to eject. Shots 6, 11, and 12 failed to feed. And it continued to fail to chamber after clearing malfunctions, and that second set of 15 shots in single action would also became a 100% malfunction rate. Now at that point, it was about 21 minutes at the range I was there, and 2 sets of 100% failure rate happened back to back. At this point, I decided to switch out the PX4 Storm and shoot the rest of the rounds in the P250. Now, yes, it is true that if you work for military or law enforcement, that you get free range time, but I'm still limited by how long the range closes. You know, they close at 8 o'clock, 2000 hours, and I get up at about 14:30. Then I get ready at 1500, eat, wake up basically, you know, for my night shift on my day off, and it'd be a good like 1700 hours. So, you know, maybe 2 hours of range time I can do if I head down there right away. So 21 minutes, you know, that was about, we have 5 sets, so 30, 60, 75 rounds. 21 minutes to clear those failures, you know. I think I only had like an hour left maybe at the time, maybe 90 minutes. I didn't think that that'd be enough time to clear 175 rounds of malfunctions. So I decided to just switch over to P250 instead. With the P250, the failures for 175 rounds was 0.0%. It didn't fail any way, shape, or form. It fired everything, didn't complain, didn't whine, just went perfectly. And I do recall this having 100% success rate again in its other own range report. So as usual, this gun just proves that it is worthy to be my carry weapon in my carry rotation. So that's all. Of course, with the PX4 Storm, it's disappointing how it did okay on the first set of rounds, but then after that it would just have a 45% failure rate, then a 100% failure rate, and I have pretty good confidence it would have continued to fail at 100% at that point. Doing some reading on the internet, it sounds like people say that the PX4 Storm needs to be shot with 124 grain. I've heard this story, song and dance before with the AP5M. You gotta shoot 124 rounds for 300 rounds and it'll work right. That's fine if that's the case. In that case, I would just call this, the AP5M, a diva gun. Okay, it's a diva gun because it needs to be treated specially with delicate hands before it can work normally. How many guns can work normally and not complain about 115? High Point, right? Taurus probably. That's pretty embarrassing. Okay. Now I like Beretta. I'm sure you do too, right? But I'm not really sure why it has to have a break-in period, have a diva period just to work right. However, regardless of that, I did buy 1,000 rounds of MagTech 9mm 124 grain, 1,000 rounds. That'll be here, and I'll go ahead and test this little diva out, try to get it to work right. And then if it does work right with 124, I'm going to come back to 115, and then we can have some free data. Is that a case? Is the PX4 Storm a diva gun that you have to treat it with special little hands before it can go back to run 115 normally? That's fine. The P250 didn't need 124 grains, it just ran right from the beginning. Of course, my gun could be made on a Monday or Friday, and that's the case, fine. But I'll just say that for this range report, the PX4 Storm, in my opinion, 100% failed. I'd never trust my life with this gun in its current state. I have to go through the song and dance of 124 grain. We'll see if that makes a difference. I don't believe it did with the AP5M, but we only did one test with that, so, you know, I should test it more. But honestly, I might sell that one, so I don't really care to test the AP5M anymore. But the next range report I'm going to do is the 357, the big boy revolver, and the reason why was because Henry just announced a new big boy revolver called the Deadeye, which is just the same thing with adjustable sights. So if I really like the big boy revolver, I got to go shoot it and then be like, oh, I like it enough that I'm going to sell it and then buy the one with adjustable sight. Or if I don't like it, then be like, okay, well, it's all right, it's fine, I didn't like it, nothing amazing. And of course I gotta shoot my other 357s and see if they do better than the Henry Big Boy revolver. So that's going to be my next range report, and then after that we'll come back to PX4 Storm and give it the Diva treatment for 124 9mm ammunition. Probably about 250 rounds of that I would do. So I'll go ahead and roll the range footage for you guys here. I can group up all the malfunctions you can see for yourself for the PX4 Storm, and then you can watch the flawless functioning of the P250. Other than that, you guys, I hope you have a good day. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video, okay? Bye now.
You learned martial arts! Martial arts, go!